some very basic question and answer type material. So with that, let's dive right in. I did have someone ask what the native language is here. It is English, so there's no sort of conversational communication barriers, except for there are some colloquialisms that the locals use that Americans are not quite as familiar with, but they're very easy to catch on to. And then as far as the currency goes, there is Eastern Caribbean currency. So the exchange rate is 2.67 Eastern Caribbean currency to $1. So that is one of the cultural differences that I'm having a little bit of a hard time getting used to. Thankfully, most places do take US as well as EC, so it's okay, and they will help with exchange rates. Next, we have native animals. So the monkeys, as you've seen previously in my last video, there are vervet monkeys. They are so beautiful and so fun to watch. Some of you may have even seen my Facebook Live video where there was a monkey that tried to chase me. That was very interesting. The French also had brought over the mongoose back a long time ago, and so the mongoose ate all the snakes on the island, so there are no snakes, which is really great. You don't have to worry about snakes anywhere you go. However, there are centipedes, and they do get into your rooms and your houses and stuff like that, and they're very, very not friendly. We also have the sea turtles. They do come and nest on island, so that's really exciting. I'm trying to join an organization where I can help monitor the sea turtles and watch where they go, like when they're moving through the ocean to different places, and when they come on shore to nest, we can help protect them from other people that are coming to enjoy the beaches and stuff like that. Lionfish, I'm not sure if you're familiar with lionfish, but those are the fish that have like those little spines on top, and then they have stripes on them. They are poisonous, I believe, poisonous or venomous, not sure, don't quote me on that, but one of the two. And so there are a bunch of those, you can see them snorkeling. And then we have sea urchins, which I went snorkeling once, and I actually got to see a sea urchin, and I really thought they were going to be like really small, just like maybe the size of your palm, but this thing was huge. I cannot believe it. It was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. It was massive. It was really awesome. I had another question regarding migratory birds. I thought that was very interesting. The North American warbler will come down to St. Kitts, as well as the purple martin. I believe that's probably a more common one that more people have heard of. Another animal that roams here, just all over, they're rampant. Goats and sheep, but here they look almost exactly the same. Like, they look just alike. It's so hard to tell the difference. The sheep have like really long, shaggy hair, just like the sheep would, and so I had somebody tell me that the only way you can tell the difference is goats' tails will be up and sheep's tail will be down, and if they're in the middle, good luck. So that is the goats and sheeps. Native fruit, which I know I had mentioned the star fruit last time, which I actually still have one here. I'd eaten one, but this one I still have. It's not quite ripe yet. It's really close. The other one was ripe. I ate it. It was okay, not great. It was okay. I would give it like a 6 out of 10. Would eat again, but it was not impeccable. Like, I wouldn't go out to the store to buy a star fruit tomorrow or back in the States or anything. They're just okay. It was cool to pick a fruit off the tree. I did it, had the experience. I'm over it now, I'm not gonna lie. So that brings me into all of the native fruit. So there's guava, the house that me and my future roommates are moving into, Stephanie and Gabby. We have a fig tree, a mango tree, lime tree. I believe that's all growing in our actual yard. We also have guava, something called a breadfruit. I had never heard of it, but we had an island tour once, and our taxi driver told us about it, and it can feed essentially like a family of 5. They're big. I've never seen one, but he was telling us like this is a breadfruit tree, and we were like, oh, cool, okay. A soursop, still not really sure what that is. Limes, figs, mangoes, as previously mentioned. So I forgot to mention there are lizards here, which, I mean, I know that doesn't come to you as a surprise, being like most of you are from Texas, and so you've seen little green lizards, cute, just like as long as a pin or whatever, just about, shorter than this. The lizards here are kind of, they're bigger. I'm not gonna say they're big, but they're bigger, and they look like little tiny Komodo dragons. They look to me just like little teeny tiny Komodo dragons. They scare me, but I did get to see one once on campus. The nightlife, definitely had a question about nightlife, which ties into another question I had about what do we do for stress relief. Go out. Go out to the local bar called Chinchillas on the Strip in a place called Frigate Bay, which is on the beach. So it's basically just like a little strip of bars on the beach. And most restaurants here are kind of open faced outside type restaurants. So the bar itself is outside, the club aspect is outside. It just has a big patio over it, some picnic tables. There's a volleyball net, so you can play volleyball. That's really cool. Another question regarding the signature drinks on the island, alcoholic and non. I would say the alcoholic beverage that has made the greatest impact on my experiences here has been rum punch. My mom and I, whenever she first came to visit, we had our fair share of rum punch. Definitely yields a great time, but do be careful. It sneaks up on you quickly. Affordable, very tasty, good bang for the buck. 10 out of 10 would recommend. And then also we have a brewing company here that brews their own local beer. It's called Carib, short Caribbean, that's all. And then they also brew a Stag, which I actually have had Carib. I have it a lot whenever I have the lobster that I'm sure you've all seen me post about. So it's a very good beer, very, very good beer. And then Stag, I've never tried Stag, but they do also brew their own soda. It's called Ting, and then there's just a normal Ting, which is grapefruit flavored, and then there's a grapefruit flavor. It's the drink itself is already made out of grapefruit, and I don't like grapefruit at all, so I knew I was going to hate this. I knew I was going to hate it. I actually love it. It's my favorite. It's definitely my favorite out of the three. There's pear, original, so that's going to be just your little bit of grapefruit, and then your super grapefruit, which is the best one to me. I love it so much, and I think the pear one tastes not good. I don't like it at all. So finally, I have some questions regarding cultural differences, culture shock, just overall how I'm acclimating to the island as a whole. So there are some things that are very odd to me. Like here, when you greet people, it's custom to just say good morning, good afternoon, good night. Where in the States, if I tell you good night, that means I'm going to bed. But people that text me, I've been contacting my landlord, and one time I messaged her kind of towards night hours around 7, and she said good night, and then answered my question, and I was like, that's okay, that's weird, that's odd. But it is custom to whatever time of day it is, just say good morning, good afternoon, good night to start any conversation. Giardia. I will definitely group Giardia into cultural differences because everyone that I've ever spoke to that's lived on this island or visited this island for an extended period of time said, you will get Giardia. I'm not sure if I currently have Giardia. It's questionable. That's all I'm going to say for broadcasting this out to the world, but it's questionable. So Giardia is definitely a cultural difference that I am trying to become accustomed to. You have to be very careful with the water you drink and all the foods that you're eating because Giardia is very rampant here in the United States. It's not quite as popular, but it does cause some pretty aggressive gastrointestinal problems. Really aggressive gastrointestinal problems. So moving full speed ahead from that, I've noticed a lot of people here don't tip and don't expect you to tip. a few nights ago, I had a Galentine's dinner with my friends. It was incredible. I love those girls a lot. So we went to Galentine's Day dinner at the restaurant I referenced earlier, Spratnet, where we had lobster. It was incredible. And then I went to pay for my meal, and I was listening to a man who was saying, like, you've been so great to us, you deserve a tip. Can I please, like, write in a tip on my receipt for the credit card? And he was like, no, we don't do that here. And I don't even remember them having a tip jar out at all at the bar. So it's not as common here or as expected. There are places where you can give a tip, but it's not like, oh, they didn't give a tip, they stiffed me, they're bad customers. They don't do that here. I will admit another cultural difference. I'm having to lower just my overall standards and expectations of everything, because this being an island, and a very small island at that, all groceries have to be shipped in, most produce has to be shipped in. The primary economy here is tourism. So with that being said, everything having to be shipped in it's rough sometimes, because everything's already been made and on a shelf for who knows how long before it gets to the island. And so ice cream and stuff like that you really don't buy here, because it's already defrosted, been refrozen, so the taste is different. It's freezer burnt. Just, it's not great. And then your produce has already been harvested for so long. It's not as fresh as things in America have been. Like when I was cooking and living in College Station, it's a big change. So speaking of culture change, I was introduced to the cultural shock graph, which I'd never heard of before, and I thought it was very cool. I think that I would put myself around kind of transitioning from like, oh, this is great, the honeymoon stage, into, oh, wow, what's really going on here? What's this? Anywhere from honeymoon down to transitioning to, okay, this is okay. I can do this. This is all right. This isn't terrible. Some things that are influencing that would be the island time. My goodness, the island time. So island time is just a concept that they refer to as nothing moves here like it would in America. Picture the opposite, polar opposite of New York. So in New York, everyone's just rushing everywhere and busy all the time. Here, everything is, well, we'll get there. We'll say 3, but really it's going to be probably closer to like 3:45. We're not talking like just 5, 10, 15 minutes late. No, we're talking like hours maybe sometimes. Just whatever's convenient, just whatever you're waiting on. It's forever. Like our iPads, for example, we get iPads from the university, and they were shipped to a completely different island for starters. So that was just a hot mess. And then once they got here, they took their sweet, sweet time unpacking these boxes. And these people were dying to get our iPads. I've never had an iPad, so I couldn't wait to get mine. And then they finally opened the boxes, and it was half the shipment. Like, they couldn't even distribute the iPads. And so the day of the meeting where we were supposed to get distributed our iPads, they're like, oh, by the way, we don't have them, so never mind. It was just very disorganized and slow. Everything is just a lot slower, and you need to have very low expectations and plan way far in advance if you're trying to get somewhere at a certain time. The school differences. So between Texas A&M and Ross University, I'm not gonna lie, I like it here more. I'll be honest, I do like Ross more. And that's because everything is centrally located. So you have your campus, and then your student health services, student counseling services, your academic success center, financial aid, the dean's office, student activities, everything is all clumped together right where everything else is on campus. So you don't have to go on a 15-minute bus ride to go get student counseling service. You don't have to do all that here. Everything is very centrally located. One thing that's really weird, though, we don't have a cafeteria per se. We have a union, and of course you can eat in there, but there's only one place in there, and it's a coffee shop, so it sells things like bagels and paninis, stuff like that. Nothing big, like a big meal. And then we have picnic tables, a bunch, like enough to accommodate us outside near where we can buy food and boba tea, things like that. But it's not cafeteria like. I don't know. I thought that was odd because at A&M there were large places where you could go inside, eat your food with your friends, or have like a buffet style place. That part's different. I do also, one pro for Ross is that we do get lockers, so there is a place for us to put our backpacks and different change of clothes in case you go to the gym, get sweaty, or go to anatomy lab and you don't want to wear your scrubs all day. You can change there, so that was very cool. Another big difference is in your semester. Here we have semesters 1 through 7, and then a veterinary preparation semester. This is kind of, I guess, 0 through 7, I suppose. And so you kind of have your just like where your base location is, I guess, is a good way to describe it. I'm not sure what the best way to describe it is, but all of semester 1 classes are in classroom 1, primarily. There are some times where we'll have, like, if a class gets canceled and we have to move to the auditorium or something like that. And then anatomy lab, of course, is in the actual lab. But for the most part, we spend all day in one classroom. There's no, like, running back and forth across campus, trying to catch a bus. Everything is just centrally located. I've also noticed a very big difference in how the staff communicates with the students. They seem to care a lot more and be way more invested, which I did actually do a little bit of looking into the faculty to student ratio. And so at Texas A&M, the student to faculty ratio is 20-1, and here it's just barely over half that. So there's a lot more room to communicate with your faculty here at Ross University. So that kind of pushes you to have more of a relationship with them. Like, I have professors, they'll come down to where we all eat, and I recognize them, they recognize me, so every single day we say hello to each other and just have small chat, which would have never happened at A&M, ever. They just don't, and they don't interact with the students like Ross does. As well as the Academic Success Center is very willing to go above and beyond, same as student counseling services. I will say I believe the student health services at Texas A&M was way more developed, obviously, but I haven't had any issues here. Plus, doctor visits here are free, and also they'll give you over-the-counter medicine for free, which comes in handy for those Giardia babes like me. Moving right along. Sorry, I keep referencing that. Otherwise, I really, like I said before, I love it here. I'm really enjoying this experience.